wanted to make this GD up to 11 to 12 students so that these people will get idea about how we are going to conduct this group discussion. Guys, this is a two panel GD where we have one mentor, Harsh. He is rightly and currently working in ADOP, and we both are going to evaluate you for this group discussion. Let me make the screen
Right.
multi-speaker, right? We'll be able to see all the folks, right? Yes. Can you share passcode?
Yeah,
You want to?
actually, Himanshi was, I think, facing some issue while joining from the PC. So it would be, I think, convenient for her if we can.
Janvi, Abhidya, please open up your camera. There are so many folks who are from diverse colleges. Apurva is having Excel call. Varsha is also having
No,
amazing call.
sir, not
Janvi,
Excel call, sir.
okay.
I am
Which one
Ahmedabad
you have?
estate.
Okay, still you
Affiliate, sir.
have.
I am.
Okay, so you wanted to flex, right?
No, sir. No. Excel is like.
Okay, no worries, man. I'll be happy to, see you in Ahmedabad, man. So many
Sure,
amazing
sir.
companies. Yeah. Hi, Piyush. How are you?
Hi sir, great. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Ankur has also joined. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. One more person. Janvi, if possible, can you open up your camera? Yesterday, I was not able to take up GD for you guys. I was like, let's not break this scenario since we were doing GD from past 4 weeks, right? So let's start with the instructions so that you'll get the idea about the instruction. Uh, we have one more panelist, and we both will evaluate you. If I talk about, I'll put the topic in the chat box as well as I'll tell once the topic is given to you, 2 minutes will be given. You can spin and to jot down your points. Going to use chat GPT. When it comes to communication, try to have clear communication from your side. No fumbling is allowed. You can fumble. Everyone who is present there fumbles in lifetime, but make sure that whenever you are taking up the entry, take time, pause, process your thoughts, then come up with answer. If someone is starting the group discussion, brownie points will definitely go to that person. Or if someone is concluding, try to make sure that you are going to add all the points which are made by all the speakers which are present there. The person who is going to make the first entry is not going to conclude the group discussion. So if I talk about the topics which we will be putting it out, try to have a balanced view regarding this topic. Don't cut a girl, and there will be a silence of 2 to 3 seconds where you will get entry. You will get time to take up the entry. If I saw that if someone is dominating the group discussion, first the person will be kicked out of the group discussion. Second thing is points will be reduced for that person. Next thing is if someone is not speaking, it will happen that some people won't be having amazing pointers. Don't be silent, guys. Please try to build on someone's point of view. Maybe you can use some phrases such as adding to my panelist view, right? In a group setting, me and Harsh are going to check you, your professionalism, your listening skills, how you are listening to the group, and are you going to add points onto the situation. If the group discussion is going in way where people are discussing point A, B, C, D, and if you're coming with point Z, you are not gonna allowed to take up the next entry. Try to listen and then build on it. Next thing, uh, there will be some folks who will dominate. Little bit domination is fine, but don't interrupt. There's a way where you can interrupt two people. I told you so many ways where you can do the interruption. There are 4 to 5 methods I explained you in the last group discussion. Now, when it comes to content, try to converse the group discussion. Don't divert from the topic. Try to use example, data, fact, figure, number, frameworks. I'm not going to tell you what kind of frameworks that you're going to use, but there's a basic framework that you can use, which I told you many times, which is STAR framework and PESTEL framework. Now, I'll tell you some things that you should definitely avoid. First thing is, if you are trying to take up the entry just to show yourself that you are participating in the group discussion, please do avoid. Last time there was one girl who was trying to portray. Karthik, you also familiar with that girl, right? Personal attacks are not taken into consideration. Don't fight like cats and dogs. Don't repeat the same points again and again. Try to bring value to this group discussion. If someone is going off topic, try to converge the group discussion. Don't try to diverse the topic. When it comes to conclusion, if someone has not taken any entry, please, as a leader, as a facilitator, as a follower, you have to take three roles. And now you guys have to decide who is the leader, who is the follower, and who is the facilitator of this discussion. If you are given the chance, try to summarize it. And when it comes to summarization, don't put your perspective. What matters is group's perspective. Lastly, content matters a lot. Me and Harsh both are there, so we are definitely focus it out on your content, your communication, your articulation. Are you a team player or not? Right? So, Harsh, I think we should start. Any tips that you wanted to tell to the students?
No, I think you pretty much covered well, Akash. It's just that, I would really look out for people who are displaying, traits of being a leader in a group setting. That is very important.
Perfect. So, guys, the topic is impact of global wars on India's supply chain and inflation. Let me repeat it again. Impact of global wars on India's supply chain and inflation. Let me put it into chat box again. 2 minutes have started for you guys. Last 1 minute, guys. Guys, the forum is open for 11 minutes.
So, hello
Okay, guys,
everyone. I
let
would
me
like to
start.
start the
So,
topic by conversing how the global wars has been impacting the India supply chain. Recently, you have seen the news of the Iran, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has been died. Why the Iran global wars has been affected India supply chain? So, in Iran, there is a strategic point, Strait of Hormuz, out of which if you know, the India imports 90% of its crude oil from the global areas, and out of the Strait of Hormuz, 50% of that oil comes from there, not from Iran itself, from the UAE, Qatar, and other areas. So they hold a strategic point. If Iran stops the Strait of Hormuz, it blocks the Strait of Hormuz. So the global oil rate will be surge, and India will face a critical issue. Our strategic reserves for the oil is just sufficient enough to sustain
I
through
think
10
to
days only.
initiate this
Okay.
discussion, make it forward, the first thing to understand here is supply chain. What is supply chain and how it affects the global wars affect our supply chain. Supply chain is basically logistics, the transportation of goods from one country to another. That is a supply chain. Supply chain also includes crucial elements which are important for the functioning of important industries, and this is a very important aspect right now with the current uncertainties that are involved in the world, and with the wars that are currently happening. Our inflation directly affects because of oil. Oil runs our country, our economy, and since we import most of it uh, through Arabian Peninsula and even from Russia, since the transportation gets affected because of these wars, and recently since the Strait of Hormuz is in danger. Along with that, even if we import from Europe, the other route, which is Red Sea, the Yemenis, Houthis are also targeting the cargo ships and the vessels. That increases the cost of logistics, which in turn makes our crude oil expensive, and also the uncertainties makes the crude oil expensive. The targeted rate for crude per barrel oil was $68 this year, but it might go to even 80 considering the current uncertainties.
Adding
Okay,
to my
like my peer
co-panelist,
said, I would like to
I need to
put my
state.
points forward that what war brings together with it. War brings a pool of uncertainties in the global level, and it disrupts the stock market. Like you have seen that the gold prices today stock up. When gold and silver prices stock up, when it goes when it suddenly starts performing well in the market, it is a clear indicator that there is a global unrest or global uncertainty which make the investors fearful of the current market and makes them invest in certain goods or certain commodities which are safer options. So this is one indication of war itself. Apart from that, if we look at the business perspective, as there is a global unrest or there is a war is going on at a global level with countries or superpowers like US being involved in it, it gives a negative of like it gives a sort of a negative viewpoint from the business perspective, as there is a certain uncertainty which drives FOMO, or which you can say drives a fear among the investors and the businesses which are running right now.
Any
I
other
think to
point?
add on to Karthik and Apurva's point, I would just want to put out some like quantify the inputs. I think considering the impact, I think oil prices are predicted to go up by 20%. And as Karthik mentioned, that 50% of import for oil comes from Iran. And again, that would again, since we import almost 30% overall, specifically from those areas. So I think the impact would be across power, agriculture, and also several other industries, which would further also impact the operations across India and also affect how things are working.
Adding to my panelist
So
view,
adding to a different point of
so
view to my panelists, so why
hmm,
supply chain choke points arises because no one country can produce
am I
everything.
audible?
We depend on different countries for certain items like oil, crude. Now, Middle East holds the central power in terms of oil. The recent as my panelists have already said has been going on. The Strait of Hormuz has been blocked, and 20% of the global imports of oil is dependent on that strait. So now when we talk about global wars and India's inflation, it becomes very important that we are dependent on countries because one country cannot produce everything. Uh, So I think whatever the wars that are going on will have an impact on the oil prices that are going on currently, and also it will have an impact on the current the common man, because finally he has to purchase the oil. That's it. Yeah.
But on the
As per
similar
my
lines,
panelist
we talked
view, I would
about
like to say that like the exports also go through the Red Sea. So if the Houthis choke it down, it will also impact our exports. And also the aerospace that has been closed. So the flights has to take a longer route. So that would add to the overall logistical cost. Export would get naturally more like hit by that. We have to may go to the like tip below Africa. It would pile up. The cost would pile up. Same for the imports from Europe. So it would severely affect the supply chains, not
Yes,
just for
but
so
oil.
also in terms, yeah,
yes, so
sure.
adding on to point,
But also in terms
why
of
when the global
the
wars
rare earth metals which we have seen. Please go ahead.
Yes. Uh, so when the global wars happen, as my fellow panelists say, we have to reroute our supply chain, and it increases the cost. We have to like if the we consider the current situation, Iran and Israel war, all the flights have to be rerouted. If the cargoes that has been coming through the aerial space or the maritime space, they have to be rerouted through different space that would increase the freight cost, and it will impact heavily on the supply chain, and India will be impacted heavily because it is net importer and we are not net exporter yet.
Okay, so
In terms of
like my peers have
wars,
Like,
identified the
uh,
problems which has arisen due to the global war and global unrest and its effect on the inflation. I would like to draw the points what can be done to avoid such scenarios in the future. Like if we see, India could not cannot depend on a sole importer or sole country to import all its demands. It has to diversify from the countries from where which it is importing goods and services, or for example crude oil. Apart from that, India has the largest population, hence the largest domestic market to serve. So if India focuses more on its domestic market, then it can curb the inflation, and it would not be that much affected when there is a situation of global unrest or a global war which is going on right now. Any more
but also
viewpoints
in
on
terms
that?
of wars
I think
itself, see, if we talk about
broadening.
wars, it's not just about the physical wars which we talk about. Global wars even include the wars in terms of trade as well. So if I can give an example where the rare earth metals which on which there is a lot of is in terms of supply is concerned. So specifically, if we have an example in India, that is the automobile market, where there is a lot of requirement for the rare earth metals. So if we can see specifically, Royal Enfield has been one of the main customer or one of the main vendor who's been specifically taken. So if we can see on a wider perspective, so because of these supply chains, there is the manufacturing which is getting in issue. There is an issue in terms of manufacturing, and this will spiral down to a decrease in terms of investments, and employment will be decreasing, and economically, there will be an overall hit as well.
I think adding on to your point,
So
I
one
feel
of my panelists already
so
questioned that what is
since
the
recently
possible
also we have
solution.
been involved in lot of tariff war. Although it's not a war, it's a slight tensions between countries because of US, but it affects directly affects our industries, and since it is also increasing inflation, uh, it has a major impact. And since rare earths are concerned in this, we also signed a recent deal with Pax Silica with the US that ensures our supply chains are protected against
Last 2 minutes, guys.
uncertainties involving global wars and the heavy domination by China as well. So I feel the only solution here is to maintain our supply chains, to increase our relationships with global countries, which guarantees us being center of the supply chain, of the global supply chain, and wouldn't affect our globalization goals.
And I
Okay,
would
Adding
also
on
so
like to
enough
to
of
add
the
on
one more
discussion.
point
I
global.
think
there.
it's right time to
Can I
conclude.
add a
If
can I
anybody
add
wants to speak, can.
can I
I
add my
think it
point
is
for
time
just
we should conclude. Otherwise, we'll run out of time.
yeah,
So
just
if you
Yes,
want
I
to
would
conclude, you
like
okay,
can
to.
okay.
conclude.
second only.
Yes,
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so I will also add on the point like the global wars also create a area of the sanctions imposition. Like Russia-Ukraine war, it creates a sanction scenario when the countries who are not aligned with the different countries impose sanctions, and through that we have to also resupply our supply chain. And if anyone like to conclude, the
Yes, I would like to conclude the discussion. So
Guys, stop.
everyone, I mean,
Guys, stop. Piyush, what are you doing, man? Like, if someone is giving a chance to you, and this is your time to conclude it, you wanted to put your
I
point of view.
I I
You
took the
need to please check it.
introduction.
Yeah, you took the introduction. If 2 minutes are remaining, it's your view that you should give point to, or you should give that stance, or you should pass that baton to other people. Already 1 minute has completed. 30 to 35 seconds were remaining. You could have tell to the group that, guys, Gyan and Prash has not discussed any point of
Correct.
view. Can we
Yeah.
give a chance to them? You were
It
very
actually
hostile
appeared
during
ugly.
the.
Yeah.
Yes, you were very hostile during the group discussion, Piyush. During the first 2 minutes, you stood up and you went off and you again came back. Don't you think so? It is a kind of unprofessional behavior that is shown by you.
Yes,
These
sir.
are the basic checks that you need to keep into mind, Piyush. The first entry that you made, it was amazing, but I'm quite disappointed with this group discussion. When it comes to Abhidya, when it comes to Yash, Nikhil, Ankur, Gyan, I don't know what was happening with you. Let me come back to one by one person. Gyan, over to you. What has happened to you? Why you are not able to take up the entry?
So I was just about to take the entry, then Purva said that it's time to conclude. But so I thought, let's give another member to
Gyan,
conclude because
let me be brutally honest, right? If you are going with this tone, and if you are Piyush was same kind of person. Ask Piyush, right? I have conducted almost 8 to 9 group discussions for him, right, Piyush?
Yes.
You had same tone, just
Yes, I
like
do.
Gan. I pushed him to do something out of the box. Gan, with this tone, with this voice modulation, with this approach, things are not going to work it out.
And
Let
10
me
minutes
brutally
are too much
honest,
to wait for an entry point actually in a GD. 10 minutes are
right?
too much. Yeah.
Right? Usually GDs happen for 8 to 9 minutes. We have
Yeah.
made that GD up to 11 minutes because of the candidates which are present here.
Correct.
Where Karthik was taking entry for 1.5 minutes, he took up two entries which covered out almost 2 minutes. No one
Mhm.
was there to cut him down. Lack of hunger, lack of say, Yash, what has happened to you? Why you are not able to take up the entry? I realized that at the end of the discussion,
Mhm.
at least you could have taken up the entry and tell to the group, guys, I have not discussed my point of view. Can you give me 10 seconds? Let me conclude it.
sir, I was going to conclude, but Piyush took the chance and spoke, and you interrupted in between.
Okay.
Okay,
Let
so
me.
there is a way. So there is a way, Yash. I think I'm sure Akash would have like shared it earlier also. But when you are being interrupted and you don't have it in your control, go out and explicitly mention, I was just thinking of speaking because I didn't get a chance to put my thoughts ahead. Just that. It's just your, basic thing that you can do, basic act that you can do just to make sure that you are, known as a person who wanted to speak, probably didn't get a chance to speak in a
Yes,
very
that's
polite and humble way, right?
yes, sir.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Akash, I interrupted. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. So, let me make this session kind of eye opener, right? Apurva, what are the calls that you have?
Sir, I am Ahmedabad FABM. Apart from that, CAP calls, I am Rohtak interviews done. Then IIT
Perfect.
Roorkee, IIFT, and IIT Kanpur, Jodhpur.
Great. Karthik, what are the calls that you have?
ABC के छोड़ के बाकी सब.
Okay. I'm Ahmedabad, Bangalore. You're done with I am Shillong. Then this third guy. Piyush, what are the calls that you have? You're not audible, Piyush.
MDI, IFT, I am Rohtak has been done, and I am Jab and I am Cap calls.
Perfect. Varsha, what are the calls that you have?
I am Shillong.
Perfect.
That's it.
For remaining folks, understand these people are not here to participate. Now, these people are not here because they have I am Ahmedabad calls or these are MDA calls. These people are there because of their participation. There were clearly four winners. I have taken the names of these folks. Remaining guys need to understand that you really need to buckle it up. They are not shown that they are better. They are shown it because of their participation. Content, quality, understanding regarding the topic, the way they take up the entries was quite up to the mark. Right? Let's say I'll discuss about the topic first, then I'll give an individual feedback and I'll pass it that banten to Harsh. Right? The first entry which was made by Piyush, first of all, I told many times that you need to explain this topic to the people. Right, Piyush?
Actually, I ponder over the topic and I am not able to come up, but I should explain in this topic like supply chain. I realized later, like when Karthik told that what is supply chain, I initially thought there is nothing to be told in that scenario. That what I would say global wars when countries are fighting with each other. So that is my bad point. I will.
Right. Whenever any topic that is given to you, first of all, maintain that professional behavior. What happened to you? I know that if you're in right state of mind, you would not have made up that entry. It's just that you stood up, you went back, you do some kind of one, then again you came back, then you realize that GD has started and you need to make up the entry, right? That's why you came into discussion. But if you look at the first entry, the first opening line that has to be made by you guys is talk about the different types of wars which are happening there: Russia Ukraine war, Israel Hamas war. Karthik came into discussion, then he explained what is supply chain, how it is affecting the supply chain, then the Red Sea, the Suez Canal, part of it. But the first entry, the first person who has to come, how these topics are interconnected with global supply chain. Simple logic hai, right? Then then you guys have to come up with different pointers that how it is affecting the economy. Let's say one of the person who came into discussion, he mentioned that uh, due to the disruption in global supply chain, the oil supply has definitely affected, right? Explain that how this oil imports or India, since we are taking concept of India, right? We are importing a lot, and you also know that the once there's a war happens, oil prices get increased, and it can create a long lasting impact on stock market. If you follow stock market, you might have seen it went 3% down. Next point that has to come into discussion from your side is due to that Suel. Karthik has clearly explicitly mentioned the topic because of the Suez Canal. If any ship is going from point A to point B, if it is taking 48 hours, now it is taking 96 hours. That is the issue that happens when a supply chain gets disturbed. A good iPhone which comes for 70,000 rupees, because of the supply chain disruption, that iPhone comes for 1,20,000 rupees. Come up with real life examples, come up with real life stats, which looks like there is something that has been discussed by you guys, right? Ek point ho gaya. Second point, not only oil, if you look at other aspects, the basmati rice, the prices of basmati rice have increased a lot. Prices of wheat, prices of fertilizers have increased a lot because there was a shortage. Initial one point has to come from your side regarding this. Now, if you look at the topic, impact of global wars on India's supply chain and inflation. What about that inflation? Apart from Karthik, no one has discussed regarding that inflation. One or two pointers came from Apurva's point of view, but Apurva, if someone is telling some pointers, right? You also got to know that I didn't get the first entry. Since I have seen it, you are the first guy who is to take up the entries. But you need to understand that if some point is missed by Karthik, you can take up the point and you can build on it.
Yes, sir. I
You
agree.
act,
But
yeah, you
actually,
acted
what I
as
wanted to speak was spoken by Karthik only. So I fell out of my points. Like I fell short of the point in the first
yeah,
entry.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yes,
here,
sir.
the people from diverse colleges that are present there, But once you get into campus, 300 smart brains would be there. Everyone is competitive.
Yes,
What
sir.
matters in
Correct.
this competition is how you are going to portray yourself, what kind of things that you are going to mention it out during the group discussion, right? Learn it from your
Yes, sir.
peers, guys. Yash, Ankur, Abhidya, Praharsh, Nikhil, please open up
Yes,
your camera, guys. Varsha, learn it from your peers that how they are putting their point of view. Next
Yes,
thing
sir.
is, if you look at inflation, if the fuel price increases, transport cost increases. Direct relation. If the if the transport cost increases, the prices of goods and services or any products would definitely be increased. I'll give you an example. In simple layman language, I'll tell you HUL. If they are shipping from point A to point B, they shampoo, the sachets, which costs around 10 rupees. Now, if 2 rupees are costing them in terms of transport, because of this inflation, because of the supply chain disruption, they are not getting goods and service at right time, right? So what will happen? If the fuel price increase, of course the transport cost definitely increase, and they have to increase the price of the 10 rupees sachets to 15 rupees. Right? So whenever there's a war happen, if you look at India and if you look at our currency, which is rupee, it has always becoming weak. From 58 rupees to, you can understand right now, right, almost 80 to 85 rupees it has become. The inflation इसी से ही बढ़ता है. Understood? Now, if you look at India as a context, you should discuss about, if you look at India, we are dependent on imports, especially oil. So if the global supply chain disrupts, India will definitely disrupt. The economy of India will definitely disrupt. These are the points has to be discussed by you. Now you talked about how the scenario works. What are the opportunities that are present for India? Let me tell you. Just like China, right? They have become self-sufficient. We can also become self-sufficient. Since Mr. Modi ji has came into the power, he come up with one policy, China plus one policy. Can anyone out of this group know about China one plus policy? Apurva, you wanted to explain this China plus one policy to your group?
So I wanted to mention that the China plus one policy is a very good move in this perspective. While I do lack very much depth, understanding about it, but I had heard about it, and it's like very beneficial for India if you have to implement it in right
Okay.
scale.
So the main motto of China plus one policy is to boost the make in India.
It's a manufacturing sector.
Yes, India wanted to become one of the best supply chain. How Japan became self-reliant on their products after the Hiroshima Nagasaki event. India really wanted to make it as a developed country, but before that we need to build one of the best supply chain in the country. That's why since I work in semiconductors, I know how we are becoming self-sufficient when it comes to semiconductors. We are putting out fabless. We are working on the chips. India has built their first own chip, right? So we are definitely taking steps. If you ever gone through the budget, understand how many $1 billion, how many bucks we have put up into the India's semiconductor mission system. And then I told you one framework that you should use, which is pestle framework. One apart from one or two framework student which are present, there no one has used that framework, right? So we'll discuss about one-on-one feedback soon. I'll pass the baton to Harsh, and then I'll come back to me. Yeah, over to you, Harsh.
Yeah, thanks for this, Akash. Thanks for the depth and thanks for the detail you discussed. Uh, in my perspective, what I observed was I sure that this is viewed as a 12 minutes, 13 minutes, or a 10 minute sort of a discussion, not to test your, probably 3 levels down or 4 levels down of research. This is your basic and foundational understanding of the topics, right? In the best of the best, cases, what you are expected to do is you are expected to go through the basics and foundations of the topic that is being mentioned. And then the clarity of thought and the flow of words matters a lot. Okay. So when I'm saying, what inflation means, what the ongoing conflicts and wars, have an impact on inflation, in the truest sense. And then how do I put up, let's say a country like India into the scenario and imagine, okay, these are the 4 or 5 risks and challenges I'm looking at. The way I am answering it is point 2, point 3, and then point 4. I'm not going to speak about any rocket science, probably. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to put a structure to the whole conversation, which is very much necessary. Please focus on such hygiene factors. Secondly, if I remembered, one of the spots where Nikhil was trying to enter the conversation, he was interrupted, and then he bowed out, right? What I saw as a very good point was when he entered again, he made sure that he didn't try to make it look like, okay, last time I was stopped, this time I'm not going to see whoever you are, I'm going to speak. He didn't make it look like that, right? It was pretty comfortable. It was pretty smooth. So please make sure you're a professional first, then an intellectual in such discussions, right? You start with points like good evening. It's a great topic to discuss about ongoing conflicts and wars on inflation, and for our country in specific terms. But as per my understanding, if we have to start, inflation is XYZ, wars are going on, let's say, in these 3 to 4 continents as of now. As far as the ongoing conflicts are going, in different spots, not only India, the whole world is being impacted, and India being such and such larger player in the global economy is going to be impacted and is going to impact others as well, right? And as Akash mentioned, why only problems? Why not opportunities? I didn't hear once, single person coming up with opportunities like redefining supply chains. A country like India should not only look at, bracing itself against the impact. It should also look at how it can become, some sort of comes to the sectors where probably it is already strong in. When it comes to the IT sector, how can India make sure that it democratizes, like it is putting the word democracy in truest of the senses when technologies like AI is being mentioned, right? How can India make sure that there is an AI technology out there for which students and professionals are not charged when it comes to designing, when it comes to productivity? Can India build such sort of a platform, a central platform, right? So opportunities like these, if you can garner up, a couple of points like these, you'll be seen as a person who looks on the other side of, the things. Please take those opportunities. Again, when you are looking at certain scenarios, you don't have to be the person who is going into the details of each and every point. But if I am, a person who came up with another angle of thought and opened it for discussion, for example, I would say, uh, we have, in certainty discussed a lot of challenges that India should be, aware of in such and such circumstances. But looking at the other side of the coin, we do have, a strong potential as a country, as an economy, to emerge as a reliable partner for certain, bigger economies as well as emerging economies. Verticals, when it products, both, right? Because India has proven it in terms, when it came to COVID, India proved to the world that it can be a reliable pharmaceutical partner for you. So I didn't go into the specifics of, let's say, such and such percentage, such and such million of exports, such and such percentage of share of exports, but I made sure that I opened the floor for a diversity of thought. And that's where I appreciate those points coming up. For example, let's say, uh, there was an example quoted for Royal Enfield as well. It was a different sort of an aspect where it went, and I do appreciate that. The only point I would like to put as a caution in such cases is that when you are not sure of certain percentages and facts, when you're saying that India imports 80% of its crude oil, and 20% is probably being let's say, catered to by domestic sources or domestic resources, right? Please make sure that you quote a source that makes your claim stronger, right? Don't just say that 70% of the oil movement across the globe, crude oil movement, goes through Strait of Hormuz. Please make sure that you quote a source. For example, as per so and so, research, as per so and so awareness, I had through such and such platform, right? It would help you a lot. Correct. I very much wanted to say that, Akash. Don't just, you know, like fumble up numbers for sounding credible. The people on the other side are aware of such numbers. Let me make it very, very clear, right? If you are, intending to sound like a person who knows a lot, I'm sorry, it is going to fall apart for you. I'll be very brutally honest. Secondly, uh, people with good, sort of flows while speaking, and if they are not aware of specifics, let's say these data points, right? Please make sure that when you are, let's say, presenting a broader thought, as I mentioned, the opportunity, end with words like, it would be good to hear, about such aspect from others as well. If, there are other points, just end it there. That's it. You have done your job. You have introduced up, another aspect. If you're not having anything else, don't make it awkward for yourself trying to spin up some numbers, and rather open it for others, to step in and, talk about it. Probably if, certain other person has something to speak about, because I've heard that, in this group also there were people having certain other, points to, let's say, contribute in the discussion, but they felt, they were not, the group was not open enough for them. So be that person who opens the group for such people. Why can't there be a person who is trying to manage the discourse rather than being the center of the discourse? Why can't you be the person who is trying to manage the discourse, right? Appear as that person. That would really help. Last but not the least, grammatical mistakes are fine, when they are in moderation. But grammatical mistakes, when made to such an extent that they sound like, you are unprepared, right? They are going to, be really, really painful for you. Okay. So probably if you have identified that, okay, let's say my spoken part of the communication is not that, sublime, then please don't overexpose yourself. There should be a strategy. In the long term, yes, you are going to learn how to speak. Okay, that's fine. But in the short term, if you have a GT 5 days down the line, what is the strategy that you're going to opt, right? To make sure that you're not overexposing yourself, at least, for this opportunity that you have. Be mindful of such points. So these are some broader points that I had, and I'm pretty sure. See, this was one of the easiest topics that you could get. Not uncomfortable topic, purely, a topic that get chance their intellectual thoughts as well as broader, I like, perspectives. If you are mentioning words like, again, I mention it, let's say you are trying to say that there are Houthi rebels, in a channel that are trying to, illegally obstruct the movement of vessels. Don't say Houthis. They are not your neighbors. If you're in a formal set, try to speak and put it in a way that sounds professional. Could be ideally the Houthi rebels, globally recognized Houthi rebels, right? The state players, state actors from such and such region that have been historically recognized as people who are notorious for obstructing trade vessels from moving from spot A to spot B. Now, this makes sure that, you appear as a person who is not using those outright, blatant terms for people, because it might sound unprofessional at times. Okay. Mm, a lot of people might go ahead and say, like, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not someone who is, our colleague. He is the honorable president, right? When you mention him, please mention US President Donald Trump. Okay. So I was just trying to mention it out there. Please be words that you use. That's it, Akash.
Thank you, Harsh, for your warm. So let me give you some pointers for these folks, because what happens every group discussion which I conduct it out, I have seen so many folks which are joining newly to this discussion, right? So am I audible, Harsh?
Yes, yes, you are audible, Akash.
Is there any noise from my side?
No, 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 no noise.
Okay, perfect, great.
Perfectly audible.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So guys, let me tell you some things that you need to keep in mind when it comes to taking up the entries, right? Let's say if you got a first chance to take up the entry, structure. This is the advice that I wanted to give to Piyush. Explain that as a leader, how you are going to portray in a group setting. In every discussion, I need to tell Apurva or Karthik are the leaders. I'm not able to see other people what they are doing it. It's not their calls are defining themselves. It's just that their participation is defining themselves, guys. Just understand the clarity of thinking and the way they portray themselves. Second thing is, I felt out. This is the advice that I wanted to give to Piyush, and there's one more guy. You guys are repeating the same points. If someone has already spoke, don't repeat. Build on it. How you can build on it? I'll tell you. I agree with my panelist point of view, or I agree with the point made by my panel, my co-panelist, or adding to my panelist view. I wanted to tell this. It shows that in a group setting, you are a team player. You have too much repeat. Okay, yeah, perfect. So you have strong listening skills. Third thing is, you guys need to understand that whenever you are taking up the entries, come up with data or fact figure numbers. Mr. G, when he used to take up the entry in I am Ahmedabad, he has cracked each and every group discussion. What he used to do, he used to tell to the group, guys, I have 3 points to tell. And what happens if you are using this gesture, you are telling the group that now I am going to discuss for 3 points, you need to stop for me. Right? There are some simple tips that you need to keep into consideration while giving him the group discussion. Fourth thing is, you need to ask rhetorical questions to the group, guys. If you are a conversationalist, if you are a person who wanted to run the group discussion, you need to be a smart. You need to ask questions that, guys, do you think that this war are benefiting India or not? If they are benefiting it, how it is affecting our supply chain? If I was in the group discussion, I would have asked these questions to the group, right? And when it comes to summarization, see, guys, conclusion, what's worst in the group discussion? What you can do better into the group discussion is, guys, let me bring this group together. Guys, time is running out. Can I conclude? Apurva, amazing gesture which is shown by you, where you mentioned that, guys, we need to conclude it. But Apurva, what happened with you is, you know that you wanted to conclude the group discussion, but there was no fluent speaker, no person who was present there who is going to put out all the pointers.
So I
That
wanted
is where,
to give chance to someone who has not spoken because two, three folks they have not spoken. So that's
yeah,
what I
but
intended to do.
so Apurva, you can do one thing better here is, guys, one of our panelists has not discussed his point of view. Can we give a chance to him or her, so that the Piyush, the other folks who are discussing it out, will be shut for a minute, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Explain it directly, tell it directly to the group. You are addressing to the group. You are not addressing to individual person which is present there. And one point that you mentioned, that it is affecting and it is creating long lasting impact on businesses. Instead of that, in professional sense, what you can do better is, guys, as of now, we discussed on inflation, we discussed on supply chain disruption. I would like to add a interesting point where we'll focus on businesses and the consumers which are present there. A simple point, huh?
Yes, sir.
I made it
Better
a little bit
articulation.
professional, right? The
Yes, sir.
articulation matters a lot when it comes to group discussion.
Yes, sir.
So let's come back to individual feedback to each and every person. Just a second, let me open up my laptop. Okay. So Piyush enter into the group discussion. Okay, so Piyush has come up with a discussion. So first of all, one advice to you, Piyush, please maintain that professional hygiene. आप उठ के ऐसे नहीं जा सकते भाई. Next thing is, there was a clash which was happened between Piyush and Apurva. It's just that Piyush realized that there has already been a late scenario. I need to buckle it up. That's why Piyush came into discussion. And Piyush, if you're talking about any respected leader, was there any need to explain about that leader got died? It has no correlation with the group discussion. Understood?
Yes, yes.
Don't add generic points, man. These things are not going to work it out when it comes to group discussions.
Yes,
Then
I
the
realized late.
first
Yes.
entry that you made, it there was no correlation. It was completely off topic, right? You mentioned that. See, second point that you made is 90% of crude oil is imported globally. Talk about that source. Where was that source? Right? Guys, according to policy bazaar, according to mint, according to business standard, I read that. Then speak it out. And then you are telling some random tantrums which are not making any sense. 50% of oil. Where is that 50%? From where I need to
Out,
understand that?
I just said out of which 50% comes from Strait of Hormuz.
Okay, how all these people which are present there should know aware of it, whether this is the right stat or wrong stat. If you are putting wrong stat, it will reduce your marks. Already 1 point is reduced because of the first entry that you have taken. First pointer is given to the people who are going to make up amazing entries, and brownie points will go to that person. Work on it, Piyush. Then Karthik entered into a group discussion. He simply started with what is global supply chain, how this supply chain is correlated when it comes to logistic, right? Then Karthik has connected the dots when it comes to inflation to oil, which is supplied, imported by India, and then how increase in prices of oil can create an impact on the transportation. Perfect entry, perfect shot. This is what you need to take up the entry into the group discussion. Then Karthik came into discussion and he mentioned that regarding the Houthis. So Karthik, I'll tell you one thing, right? Whenever you are talking about a fact, in the first entry, don't try to come up with some strong facts, right? You have to explain it out that inflation cause, how it is affecting on that inflation, because Apurva have to come into discussion, then he have to mention it out. तो आप जो पहला point बता रहे हो ना, उसमें ही बता दो कि what is the whole topic, right?
Yeah.
That I missed it from your side. And then you discuss about how the barrel rate has been increased from 68 to 80. Again, I told you guys, I wanted data, fact, figure,
Source.
numbers, which I got it from Karthik. One brownie point goes to Karthik. Then Apurva came into the discussion. He mentioned that war disrupts stock market. Apurva, if war is disrupting the stock market, tell what is the impact that it has created on market, right? You can't be generalist,
Yes,
Apurva.
yes.
You are going to have, I am Ahmedabad ka, India's number one B school in the country, right? So you need to be little bit vocal towards thing. Be a specialist. There's no value for the generalist in
Yes,
this
sir.
world. Then you mentioned about how gold and silver prices have increased and there's a global uncertainty. Amazing. And you also mentioned about the countries where this scenario is happening there. Amazing. One brownie point goes to you guys. Just listen and just hear Apurva, right? He just started the discussion where he talked about data. He talked about the countries, talked about how it is affecting on global supply chain, right? Then Himanshi came into the discussion. Himanshi, are you there? Okay. First thing that I want to tell you is, I don't know how many group discussion have you participated. Don't take name of any person. Adding to Apurva's and Karthik's point of view, no, you are not allowed to give. easy pointers, easy sitters to any student. In the first entry, which you have to take it up, you have to put your perspective. You don't have to agree with someone. You can agree and you can disagree in the second or third entry of yours. This is a basic hygiene check of GD. The point that you made is 50% of input comes from Iran. You build on Piyush's point of view. Again, there was no new point came from you. I'm not gonna give you any point to you for the first entry. Then 20% of the imports coming. So that 20% came? Can you tell me the source?
I saw it online on first post video. Like I
Okay.
was looking news, so first post video, like they summarize it, right? So I saw it there.
So you have to talk about the Palki Sharma statement, according to one of the editor in chief in Post. Talk about the quote made by that person, right? You are referencing that someone's point of view into the third discussion. So you have to explain it explicitly. Then Ankur came into the discussion. Ankur, let me really be honest, man. Work on communication articulation. You can't repeat the points and you can't build on the same points which you have repeated it out,
Yes, sir.
right? I felt out there were, am I, yeah, I felt out while looking at your entries. 5 pointers I want to tell you: communication, articulation, ability to speak upfrontly is not again build on it. Critical thinking, you need to build on it. And fifth pointer is the way you work in group dynamics. Please work on these 5 factors, man.
Okay, sir.
Read read more about different topics. Mint, business standard, NDTV profit. Then first post, go through these 4 5 channels. If you don't have time, just go through the reels. Spend it out 3 to 4 hours.
Mm.
You'll get amazing idea about how the things work in industry. Please work on your communication, man. This is the basic need of an MBA grad. And don't
This is actually my first
fumble it
GD,
out.
sir.
Yeah, Ankur, I'll tell you one thing. Himanshi, Nikhil, Yash, Gyan, these are all guys have been there, and this is their first GD. But if you look at the current situation that is happening there, SIBM Pune SMHRD results are out. NMMS next month results are out. IIM Ahmedabad ABC Blackie results are going to come it out within 10 or 15 days. Like the interviews are going to happen. So at this time, you can't make excuses, man.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right? You will definitely improve if you participate through more group discussions, but make sure
Yes, sir.
that be more comprehensive, be more vocal while putting our point of view. Right?
Okay, sir.
Then,
I'll keep that in mind.
yeah, Nikhil, I really wanted to tell you some things, man. Right? If someone is passing that baton to you, you can't be a person with lower voice modulation. Learn the art of voice modulation as well as tone modulation. Start with high pitch, get into lower pitch, get into high. There's a concept of peak trough in physics. So you have to use that. If you have strong communication skills, but if the skills are not visible in the group, what I'm going to do with this group? Okay, Piyush, you can definitely go, man. Yeah, all the best to you, man. So, Nikhil,
Thank
please
you.
work on the basic part when it comes to communication. Second thing is learn the art of how you can take up the entries. If
Sure,
someone is
sure.
passing that banter, you should not tell to the person that, hey, you can proceed, I can over it. Already that person had taken 2 entries. Apura is very brutal when it comes to GD. This is what I have seen it. So you need to be brutal in terms of situations because it is your point, it is your seat. उसको तो मिल जाएगी
Correct.
seat. What about my seat, right? And this
That's
is
true.
the same thing that will happen to you. I'm not helping you out here just to crack the B school. In B school, you will go
Yeah.
through so many GDs, and there's no more person who is going to mentor you out and tell you that, hey, this is where you are doing right and wrong. You need to figure it out, right?
Correct, correct. Absolutely. Yeah.
Then Nikhil started with Nikhil. The points that were made by you is generic, right? Only one point came from your side when it comes to rare earth materials. Apart from this, again, you mentioned about Royal Enfield, right? One example that you mentioned it out, and how the supply chain has been disrupted, and if the supply chain we need to build on it, we need to focus on manufacturing. That was the point that you made. Again, I'll tell you one thing, Nikhil. There are so many smart brains which were present there. You could have built on their point of view, or you could have stolen some points and added this point into the group discussion. My co-panelist has raised the bar of this group discussion. I really wanted to come up with an interesting point of view. That points has to be come from your
That's
side,
true.
man. Please
Yeah,
buckle it up, man. See, Nikhil, if you are getting into B school, you should be so much confident about yourself that if this situation occurs where people should choose you, right? People should fight for you. Ki, I want this guy in my group. Since I was technically so good in terms of my things during B school days, I have seen it. People used to favor me. Hey, I want this guy in my group. I never approach any person that hey, I wanted to join your group. Every time the offer came from outside. Every time the offer came from someone that hey, Akash, I want you because you are good at this. So you need to be a specialist, man. Either communication, either articulation, either technical skills, either behavioral skills. You need to be a person who is master of all things. You have
correct,
enough
correct.
time to improve on it. Then
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
Karthik, you are the leader of this group discussion, right? I really appreciate your point of view. You were I am Shillong GD that has happened. And Karthik, from the first discussion to this discussion, I have seen a significant improvement in terms of your communication, in terms of the points that you made, the maturity and clarity that you have, that matters. That's why you got these big calls, right? किसी को भी I am Shillong call नहीं देता है भाई, right? किसी को भी I am Ahmedabad call नहीं देता है. It is because the effort that you put into the process. I
अहमदाबाद
really
नहीं है.
liked the yes, no worries, man. See, if I talk about मैं इस भी स्कूल में गया मेरा करियर कुछ नहीं हो सकता I got into one of the best team in my team itself, right? अगर मैं बी स्कूल में सोचता कि आई एम फ्रॉम दैट बी स्कूल वेयर आई वोंट बी हैविंग अपॉर्चुनिटीज, ऐसे नहीं होता. लाइफ गिव्स यू डेफिनेटली अपॉर्चुनिटीज. इफ यू गॉट दैट वन अपॉर्चुनिटी, प्लीज क्रैक दैट अपॉर्चुनिटी, राइट? सो यही होता है
For
लाइफ में.
sure.
सी, you will face so many instances, not only in this group discussion, not only this MBA scenario. Whenever you get the opportunity, try to pick it out. बस हो गया ज्ञान. Let's talk about the topic first. So, whole and whole, I really wanted to make this kind of group discussion because we have conducted GDs when it comes to uh, case based, marketing based, analytics based, finance based, and there was one missing point which was geopolitics based. I think we were able to fulfill it. Some people have to really bucket it up. Praharshan, Abhidya, I'll give you 30 seconds to each and every person. Tell me, Praharsh, what went wrong during this group discussion?
Actually, I tried to enter 2 to 3 times, but I saw too many entries were happening that time. And once there was also a girl that entered that time, so I decided not to cut her, basically.
Okay. Praharsh, you can tell to the group that, guys, I haven't spoken for 10 minutes. Can I conclude the group discussion? Has
Yeah,
this
I could
point
have
came
done
from
that.
your side?
No, I could have done that for sure. This was my bad.
Yeah. Second thing, what you can do better is just understand where are there natural gaps which are present there. When Piyush was discussing, there were so many natural gaps. You could have entered into the group discussion. Abhidya, what happened to you, man?
Hello. First of all, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
I think, sir, I'll take more than 30 seconds to describe what happened. So the whole thing went haywire because, for example, I've given three or four, exactly four GDs. One with this GDPI cohort, three at my offline center. I am usually the person who either starts or concludes or enters at number two or three maximum times, more almost every time. This was one of the worst GDs that I've ever been in because you mentioned content, quality, timing of people coming in, everything was there, but I thought nothing was there. For example, first thing which I knew about this topic was something I had not prepared for. So I thought I'll not go in just with the like right off the bat. I won't go in. I'd first listen to a few points, then I'll make a perspective out of it, and then I'll enter the GD. What happened? Someone had their microphone on, and I could not hear a single word as to what was being said. In the starting, a bit of an internet issue on my side, and a bit of a some mic was on. There was some disturbance because of which I was not able to grasp really the introduction. So I missed on that. Then one thing that I knew the most was the Strait of Hormuz was blocked by Iran, and it can create problems and all of these things. That oil thing was the main thing which I knew. But then I saw everyone knew that, and everyone was speaking the same thing. No one was giving me anything new. Like you explained the topic when you told about basmati rice, wheat, fertilizer, inflation, everything. Then it struck me, oh, I could have gone those ways. But no one in the group gave me the chance. No one was talking about it, so it didn't even occur to me also that I should go in that way and I should firstly say something. So that's why I missed the opportunity. Other than that, one thing that also happened with me was that I was very skeptical of whether should I enter with a rhetorical question, because I wanted to enter with a rhetorical question of India America deal and how we are going to be buying Venezuelan oil, and we also have Russian ties. So how is oil going to be a very, like, everyone was just talking about oil, so we can manage oil from different places also. So let's talk about something else in the supply chain. So I think that basically sums up my lack of participation in this GD.
Abudha, I'll tell you one thing. I really understood that you had so many amazing pointers, right? In a group of shark, you need to be a head shark, right? You need to use a simple common logic sense. Common sense is very important, man. Sometimes you'll feel that, like, let's say I have seen it when the semiconductor sessions will happen, or some kind of summit will happen, right? In my team, all the folks from IMC, BC, Blackie, everything, then you need to take a back seat. You need to listen to the folks, and then if there's a entry that is present there, then you have to put up your point of view, right? Learn the art of how we can take up the entries into group discussions, or agree to someone, na man, like agreeing to the point of inflation which was made by one of my co-panelists, then talk about the inflation thing. Third thing is, you know you need to understand, Abidya, you realize that the first entry which was made by the partner was not up to the mark, where Karthik had to taken up the entry and he has to explain what is supply chain. Instead of Karthik, why not Abidya?
So I was not able to listen to the first introduction very well because of the mic issue which was happening, and some internet connection on my end as well. So that's why I didn't I didn't feel I didn't know what the introduction was being said. So I didn't feel confident. I thought it has already been done, so I didn't take an entry after that.
Yeah, that these are the basic hygiene checks, right? Yesterday, one guy from this cohort, he was not able to speak it up for 8 minutes in SMHRD GD. Then he came to me and called me कि after this GD कि भैया मेरा क्या होगा? I told brutally honest opinion कि भाई नहीं होगा तेरा SMHRD चाहिए. That guy was not able to crack SMHRD GD. एक साल का preparation got into vain just because of this 8 minute basic hygiene check. That person has to do it from his side, right? So guys, if you're really passionate toward things, na, you'll definitely do the things. Passion lack कर रहा है, hunger नहीं है, you'll definitely give, and you will definitely come up with some excuses. My job as a mentor is to tell you कि if you're getting into wrong direction, please come into the right direction, right? The concept of rhetorical question, you need to increase the duration of the rhetorical question so that people will listen to you, man. This is how you can make the discussion interesting. Whenever you are talking about group discussion, understand if the geopolitical topic is present there, understand about causes, effects, challenges, opportunities, solution. I would like to look at this topic according to three vertices, which is what are the challenges that are present there, what are the opportunities, and what kind of solution that we can provide as a group. Simple, right? If you again, Abudya, use some simple universal lines such as the issues which is mentioned in the group itself has a short term and long term impact. Can we discuss about it? Right? You're acting as a facilitator. This topic looks like a double-edged sword. We can discuss about challenges as well as opportunities. Let me use one framework here. According to political perspective or according to economic perspective, this is what comes to my mind. Right? So, guys, please buckle it up. Yes, the same point goes to you, man. Please buckle it up.
Yeah,
Varsha, yeah, you were generic, but you were not a leader. What I want you to do in the upcoming group discussion is make sure to take up the first three entries. Whenever group discussion happens, you try to take up seventh or eighth entry. And next thing is, whenever you are joining any group discussion, don't join it from phone. Make sure that you how to use laptop, right?
Akash, I'm traveling, so I do not have a laptop handy. So I can
Okay.
next time I'll join via the laptop.
Okay, no worries. Yeah. So guys, that this is the overall summary of this group discussion. Please buckle it up. I really want some amazing perspectives from you. And congratulations for all the folks who are going to have the interviews. XLRI, then IIFT Delhi, IIT Kanpur. If you want transcripts, I have made the transcript. I can share it to you. Text me in the group
So,
itself.
so
Yeah.
sorry to disturb you, but IIT Kanpur is not going to conduct any GD this year. IIT
No, no.
Roorkee will be there.
Yeah, I know that. I am telling you,
Yes,
ki, if you want transcripts of these colleges,
yes, sir.
interview
Yes, sir.
transcripts,
Please,
right?
sir.
I'll share the
Yes, sir.
transcripts to you. You just have to text me out, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
yeah, all the best to you, man. Try to learn every day, right? Uh, During my time, when seniors used to tell me, there was one mentor from I am Lucknow. I used to take guidance from him. I used to ignore so many things. I used to like, why this guy is, pucking me. But now I understand. Now I'm at that stage of life where I'm mentoring you. I really want you to improve every day. And Harsh is taking geopolitics session at 11:30. Please join that session, right? Harsh, can I share this link to the friends?
Yes, yes, sure, sure.
Yeah, I'll share the link to you guys. And yes, Abhidya.